guys, welcome back to my channel. So as promised, late but as promised, I'm going to be filming a brow tutorial for you guys. I typically tend to fill in my brows 3 different types of ways, so I'm going to show you all 3 of the ways that I typically do that. I like to think of each different way as a little bit more dressy, so to speak. Like one is more of like my casual day-to-day brow, my intermediate brow, and then one is for when I want a really detailed brow, or I want something that is going to be a little bit more eye-catching. So I'm going to share all 3 of the ways with you guys here, and yeah, I'm just going to jump right into it. So as you can see, I have my makeup on already. I am going to take it off because I'm going to be removing my eyebrows several times and it's going to mess up all of my makeup. So what I typically do is I like to apply my eyeshadow and my face, and then I will go in and do my eyebrows last. I like to do this because I feel like it's easier to mess up your brows when you apply your foundation after you've already done your brows, because you can tend to get product on them, whereas when you do it last, I feel like it just leaves like less room for error and less mess, so to speak. So that's the way I like to do it. A little background about my eyebrows. What I do to maintain my eyebrows is I like to get them threaded. Now when I get them threaded, I do not get them shaped. What she usually does is just take off some of the hairs from down here that are just straight hairs, but this is my natural brow shape, and she just likes to clean them up. So if you're wondering how I get my brows shaped, I don't really shape them. This is just my natural eyebrows. Thank you, mom and dad. And yeah, I just like to get them cleaned up to get rid of those like stray hairs. So I'm going to jump into the tutorial and I'm going to remove my makeup. Okay, so the first way I'm going to show you to fill in your brows is with a eyebrow pencil. So the eyebrow pencil that I like to use is the NYX Micro Brow Pencil. I also love the Anastasia Brow Wiz, and I also like the Brow Definer. But this NYX Brow Pencil is very comparable to the Brow Wiz. It's also very affordable, and it's a great tool, and I never have a problem with the product. It's a great product. So I like to use this. I'm in the color Expresso. So the brow pencil for me is my most used because it is the easiest way to apply the brows for me, and it's great for day to day, especially because the product is really cheap, so it's just easy to throw on. You don't have to think about conserving product, stuff like that, and it's just so easy to apply. So these are my brows with nothing in them. So what I typically like to do when applying my brows is I will first spoolie the brows and just kind of put the hairs into place, because sometimes, you know, your brow hairs can be a little wild. I have a couple wild ones like that one right there, but I like to kind of comb them down, and this kind of just helps me to just figure out where I have to lay down my eyebrow product and where I want to start. So how I typically start is I start from the top of my brow, and what I do is I do not go above my brow. I follow my natural brow line and I go into the brow hairs because I don't like my brows to be overly pronounced. I like to keep my brows very natural. So what I do, and you'll see this is the trend that I do with any way that I apply it with, regardless of the product. So what I'll do is I will start from like here, which is like almost the beginning of my brow, not the tip of my brow, but almost at the beginning, kind of like a couple centimeters into where it begins. And that's where I typically like to lay down the product first, because I feel like when you apply product here in the tip of your brow, it tends to look very harsh because you're applying the pressure there initially, and I don't like the tips or the fronts of my brows to look overly harsh. I like that to be very like kind of like feathered look. So I like to start with the product right here. So what I'll do is I'll start here in my brow line and I'll start tracing my natural brow line, and then I'll take that all the way to the tail. And then I'll kind of make a little tail and I'll end it right here, which typically ends about right here where your eye is. So that's how I start my brow. And then I will go to the bottom. Now with the bottom, I don't apply the same rule that I applied to the top. I do like to start right at the front of the brow because I like that. I like the bottom to be defined. So what I'll do is I'll start here and I'll do my pencil very light, and I will make a small line right there and then follow my bottom brow line, my natural brow line. And then I'll follow it to the tail. So as you see here, if you look at my brow with no product and my brow with product in it, there's a very subtle difference in them. This one just has a little bit more shape and it's a little darker, and that's how I like my brows to be. So here goes the one with product and here goes the one without product. And as you can see, it's not overboard, it's just very natural. And when it comes to me filling in the product, I feel like it's just very easy once you've created your kind of shape that you want. It's like a coloring book. I just fill in the lines and kind of, you know, go over where the areas are sparse and just deepen them. So what you'll see me do is I do this. I start here and I start to flick the brow, and I'll go into the sparse areas. And then I will start at the bottom. And where I created that line at the bottom, I'll start very lightly flicking the pencil up. And what this will do is kind of define that brow area, which is very sparse, but give me like some definition there, but not overboard. And then I'll lightly start going with my pencil at the top to kind of connect the two and make them meet. So as you can see, the product I place here is very light because I like my front end of my brows to be very light, and then I like my tail to be a little bit more dark. That is the easiest way. You can see that that took me no time at all to apply the product there. And then when I am done, I will just spoolie through it once more to get rid of any harsh lines I might have created with the brow pencil and to lay the hairs down. And then it's really optional here if you want to apply a brow gel to kind of set the hairs. You guys can kind of see the comparison. I'm going to show you on my other brow how I apply powder products to it. So the brow powder that I like to use is from Urban Decay. It is the Brow Box in Brown Sugar. This brow box is really great because it has two different shades in here. I usually use the darker of the two shades. It's got a more taupe and then a deep like espresso shade. It also comes with a mini tweezer and a little brush. And if you push here, it's got a brow wax, which is really great as well. So you can forego the brow gel if you would like, or if you want something that's like kind of like a one-stop shop, this is really great. So what I like to do when using this brow box is I will first apply the brow wax. So I will go like this and apply it to the hairs, and this will kind of have those hairs stay into place. And then what I will do is I will spoolie the hairs right after to have them laid down, and this will also help me to figure out where I want to lay down the product as well, like I did with the other eye with the pencil. So the brush I like to use, which is pretty much any angled brush, I use the MAC 256, I think it is, 266. It's just an angled brush. I will go between this, a Sigma one, any one that I have readily available. Just something that has got a really nice angle like this, because I feel like the angle brushes help you to get a really nice curvature, and it helps to like make the eyebrows really defined. So what I will do, and you'll see it's very similar to how I did the pencil, is I will lightly tap into the dark espresso shade. So I will very lightly tap into the espresso shade, kind of pat off the excess, and I will start in the same area as I did before, and I will start about here, and I will start shaping my brows. And you can see it's laid down right there. Going back into the product. As I go into the bottom, I will grab a little bit more product because I want my bottom of my brow to be a little bit more defined. And I will start at the tip of my brow. And I like to kind of go like this because it gives me a little bit more precision. So that is the base of my brow so far. They look a little messy because this eyebrow is not as, it doesn't have as much hair as my other eyebrow. So I do have to fill in this brow a little bit more because it's got like a little bald patch right here with sparse hair. So how I like to fill in my eyebrow with the powder is I will tap into it lightly, kind of get off the excess, and I will start at the tail with the powder because the powder is very dark, and I will start flicking my brush to apply the product. Fill in the areas that I feel like need to be filled in. And then when it comes to the top, I like to not use any more product. I just use the excess product on the brush, and I will flick up here from the bottom line that I created, and it will disperse any extra product I had there. It will soften the line, and it will also fill in that area really nicely without looking too harsh. So you can see that I have not used any excess product in the front of my brows, and they are filled in. But they are filled in the way I like them to be filled in, not too harsh. And that is without any excess product. It's just kind of flicking around the product that I had placed there before and dispersing it evenly. And when I clean that up with concealer, it will make my tail a little bit more precise as how I would like it to be like when I apply it with my pencil. You can see the pencil is more precise. So again, this is the one with the powder, and this is the one with the pencil. I love the pencil because you get precision and it's really quick. The powder is, the product lasts a lot longer. You get really good results, but I just feel like it's easier to apply with a pencil. And then I'm just going to kind of brush that area out because I never did spoolie it after. So those are two of the ways that I apply the product. Now I'm going to show you the last way I apply my brows. So the last brow product I love to use is the Anastasia Beverly Hills Dipbrow pomade. I use the color chocolate. This is a really great item to use when you are going out. It is waterproof, I believe, and it's something that just really is going to bring a lot of attention to your brows because it is just a very deep product and it gives you a lot of precision if you apply it correctly. And they just make your eyebrows look really defined, and it just dramatizes your eyebrows, so to speak. It's like wing liner, but for your eyebrows, if that makes sense. So what I like to do is, the product comes in a pot like this. I typically like to kind of start at the end, and I'm using a double-ended Tarte brush that has a angled brush. You could use any angled brush, but this is the brush I typically use. And I will kind of dip the product side by side in the pomade, and it will disperse a little bit of the pomade on each side of the brush. And then I'm going to spoolie out my brows first. And why I do that is dip it on each side is in case I want to flip my brush. I have product on each side but be careful because a little goes a long way and it gets very dramatic very quickly. So just go in very lightly. I like to kind of scrape off the excess on the edges. So like I did with both of my brows before, my brow tutorials before, I started here, about here, when I apply the product. Especially when using the pomade, you want to be careful because it is a very harsh product and it is very pigmented. So wherever you lay it down, it's going to be very pigmented. So I'm going to start here and I'm going to lay down the product. So I laid down the top part. The great thing about applying the product like this on both sides is that it really helps the brush to create a really nice tip, and it makes applying the product much easier. And it makes your brush like very crisp and makes really nice crisp lines, as you can see. The powder is very hard to get a really nice crisp line for that reason, because it's a powder and it doesn't help shape your brush at all, whereas the pomade or the pencil do. So now I'm going to move to the bottom part of my brow. I didn't get any excess product because I had a lot on the brush already, and I don't want to go too crazy, but I'm following my natural curvature of my brows. And that is my outline. So you can see it's very bold. You can like see like my brows from a mile away right now, I feel like. So I'm going back into the product very lightly, getting rid of some of the excess on the sides. And I'm going to fill in the sparse areas. And I'm going to flick up at the front to kind of move around the product like I did with the powder. Because I like my fronts to look very natural and not too harsh. Okay, so that pretty much is that brow finished, complete. And you can see that this is like a bam in your face brow girl. Like, I'm gonna do the other one just so you can see how dramatic it is, because in my videos 9 times out of 10 I penciled in my brows because I feel like it's just the easiest, it's the most natural. But I love to throw on some brow pomade when I am feeling myself and I'm going out, which is not very often, but you know. You know how you always have one eyebrow that cooperates more than the other? This is my good brow, this is my misbehaving brow, always. This Tarte brush is amazing. I don't know if anybody has it. It came with their like equivalent to the Dipbrow. It's a great brush. I bought the Tarte Dipbrow, or whatever it's called, just for this brush, really. Okay, so this is both of my brows filled in with the pomade. You can see that they are like brows on brows on brows because they're in their like swimwear. Okay guys, thank you so much for watching this video. I hope it really helped. I just wanted to show you guys how I do my brows because people always ask me how I do my brows, and I know that sometimes you guys leave comments below asking me for a brow tutorial. People have asked me to do brow tutorials. So I finally had the opportunity to do it, and I hope it was beneficial. And I hope you guys can utilize the techniques that I have used to do my brows, and I just hope it helps. Thank you guys again for watching, and I will see you guys soon. Bye guys.